40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have race number 4 of the Area 51 Superspeedway Truck Series here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. I kind of like to refer to it as a bit of a Dover on steroids. Also got the Martinsville paperclip shape. But yeah, drivers putting on their qualifying laps to get race number 4 underway this season. 75 laps are scheduled distance. Hearing fuel numbers probably in the mid upper 15 range, I'd say. So I think somewhere between, I'd say, 15 to 18 at the furthest. Magic number will be 15, though, for sure, to make this on a 4-stop strategy. Of course, pending things going green to the end. So keep an eye on that. Entering tonight, Gabe Butler is our points leader by 9 over Josh Purcell. And then another 9 back is Hayden Davis in his truck. And so, yeah, and Gabe also last week's winner at Daytona. So, Boomer, I say we don't get to run here super often. We're watching a practice. They're not as full speedy as they usually are, which makes me a little sad. I'm used to the 220, 230 plus with the trucks. So I was seeing them cap out about 200 in the draft. It might be get a little more in a bigger pack, but looks like these guys maybe got a little restricted on the iRacing side, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely happy to be part of the show tonight. And yeah, it looks like I'm seeing speeds somewhere in the 180, 100, maybe low 90s down front straightaway, back straightaway for qualifying here. So yeah, more realistic, which who knows? I think that might, I mean, this race has always been one on the calendar that you can almost guarantee is going to be a question mark, wild card, whatever you want to call it. And I'm curious to see. I'm really curious to see how that's going to change the racing. I mean, like you mentioned, that's a 60. Obviously single car speed. That's what 30 or 40 or whatever mile an hour difference or so. So I mean, in the draft, we'll see what it looks like. But even if it's 200 versus 230, that 30 mile an hour difference, I think, is going to make a huge difference. And we'll see. Maybe a little less unpredictable.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point too, because like you said, is yeah, I mean it's definitely for sure over 20 miles an hour. So I'm almost positive we were running 200 plus just by ourselves before, and so one of those things you kind of build that muscle memory. It's like, okay, I know I enter turn 1, turn 3, I'm going this fast, and so I'm going to need to start maybe even turn in a little early. And so now it's
Exactly.
going to be one of those things where everything's just a little later than you would be doing it before. And so yeah, so it almost going to be one of those things these drivers going to have to kind of relearn a few things from what they're used to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what the plan is. The one thing that won't change still is going to be how difficult pit entry is to get onto. That very steep banking, including on the front stretch. I do think they'll be able to hustle in a little deeper, which could be a kind of a risk reward situation where it's like, oh man, I don't have to brake as soon as I'm off the track, and then you start to overshoot that pit entry speed limit. So yeah, gonna be a lot of fun things to keep an eye on. Also just need to see maybe with the lower speeds, maybe the momentum swings are going to be different with these trucks compared to before when they were going that extra pace. So gotta be a lot of unknowns. I feel like is kind of the name of the game for tonight. Is I think what we're going to be winding up looking at.
Yeah, it'll be different to see. Yeah, I mean, even if you mentioned, like, yeah, like you said, that speed difference, I think, is going to be kind of crazy. And it's almost like I've raced here a little bit before myself, and you're mentioning going in the corners, like you almost have to like anticipate when you enter the corner, because obviously it's like when you're in a pack, it's really hard to tell when you're actually passing that point of that banking starting and stopping, which is a very aggressive transition, especially obviously for a virtual only racetrack. This track only exists in iRacing, and other video games in the past, but it obviously exists nowhere in the world at all. So, but that transition is so crazy, and when you get off and on it, you almost have to anticipate and start to turn in before before that transition comes, both from the straightaway to the corner and vice versa.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be we'll be keeping an eye and see what the strategy is gonna be. However, we got to pull up our starting grid for tonight, and it is going to be well, that's not the starting grid I was looking for. We've got a new fancy one, Boomer. I don't know why it did that to me. But we're going to pull up the starting grid this way, as it's going to be Charles Johnson on pole position in that number 9 truck. Next to him is Gabe Butler in the 88, our last 2 winners so far this season. Cole Cannon sits in the 3rd position, and Dean Wilkinson next to him in row number 2 in 4th. And we get to the top 5. It's going to be Eric Laurie grabbing that 5th spot. Next to him will be teammate Mark Cohn in the 39 truck. As you see, the field's just starting to roll. You got Everett Lane in 7th. Josh Purcell sitting in the 8th position. Should be easy to spot him on track tonight. Finally, in the top 10, you got Justin Davis and Bob Fitzgerald there, 9th and 10th respectively. In 11th is Hayden Davis. Josh Previtt next to him in the 12th position in that number 81. And then a little further back here, we got Robert Rock in that 171 truck. Brian Bussard in the SpaghettiOs 27. So he's always been switching up those paint schemes. Starting shotgun tonight will be that number 6 of Bud Steele, opting not to put a lap in qualifying as field is making their way through that long warm-up lap. This is one of those ones where I think these drivers, they're going to want this thing to stay clean and green pending them being in the track boomer because, of course, with how big this track is, those pace laps, they aren't the quickest. So we'll wait and see how what the strategy is going to be like for these drivers here tonight.
Yeah, definitely one of the longest length tracks in existence in iRacing for an oval. Obviously, there's plenty of road courses that get longer, but for an oval, 3.0 mile Superspeedway here takes a little bit of time to get around. But I think if I'm not mistaken, the pace speeds are like 75 or like 85 miles an hour. Like it's actually pretty quick. Yeah, actually I see. So Dean Wilkinson is pacing at about 88 miles an hour. So still makes for a really long pace lap, but it'll be over pretty soon here, and we'll get to racing.
Yeah, you're spot on there. Run about 90 miles an hour, peeking over, spying on Charles Johnson, see what he's got in store for us. But yeah, no, like you said, we're about to get this thing underway here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. Again, it is a 75-lap scheduled race. Should be about a 4 pit stop race. Magic number for all these drivers is going to be making sure they can get at least 15 laps. But first, of course, they got to get through those pit stop cycles, so we'll see how that goes tonight. As it's going to be Charles Johnson as they hit the restart zone. We are underway here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. Right now, inside line definitely looks more attached, and it's also the initial start here, Boomer. Inside line, the shorter distance is always a huge advantage here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, you can see that 9 getting a little bit of an advantage, and that inside lane really much better as far as being packed up and pushing well. That 9, the 801 and the 071 really got a good start there.
Oh,
you see, the 9 early incident.
Bob Fitzgerald around as well. That's going to be caution number 1 there. And I think we just talked about, I think just the difference of these trucks that they're not used to. Again, these guys are usually having way bigger head of steam there coming out of turn 2. And I think Bob's going to get away fairly clean with this. Charles Johnson, though, you can see that right front is definitely hurt here. So let's go back and take another look at this one. Because, yeah, I mean, from what I saw there, I don't think there was anything off that happened. I think Charles just gets loose out of 2. Almost looked like he kind of, as he comes out of the transition right here, you'll see the truck start to lift. And it just snaps on him there. Almost like it broke traction still as he was building speed. And you can see he's got the wheel full left, but unfortunately, there's nothing he can do. And then you can see, I think then it's just kind of the reaction behind there. Everybody's trying to find their way through. And actually, it's Brian Bussard and Bob Fitzgerald that get together. But you can see Bob is just going to get, he got a little shot in the rear there as well from his teammate in the 171. Where's Brian? Oh, and Brian actually, he catches the inside wall. And I say, right on cue, as I looked at the rear deck, and you see SpaghettiOs there. And yeah, it's unfortunately a bit of an for him there in that 27. And so, yeah, so unfortunately, a quick yellow to start this thing off here tonight. Left front fender missing for him. I think Bob's going to be okay. And we got to look at Robert Rock and that truck, I should say. I think he'll be okay, too. I think he doesn't need a burner fast repair. So we will jump back live here as field is starting to head their way into turn number out of 4 here. And this is, now it's pit stop decision time. Do you want to get that extra splash of fuel to make sure there's no drama? And it looks like that's the answer. It's going to be everybody's going to hit pit road here. So we will let them work their strategies, get the pit stops underway. Again, it's a long pace lap here, so we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll get back on the 1 to go.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, Boomer, lights are back off of the pace car. So everybody hit pit road there. Some mixed decisions on fuel and tires. Pretty much the top 6 from Gabe to Justin Davis went ahead and took fuel only. Hayden Davis, Charles Johnson, they opted for 4. Again, I'm pretty sure Charles went ahead and did the faster pair. Brian Bussard, though, in that 27 car or truck, 33 seconds on his pit stop, and then 35 for Bob Fitzgerald. And the Robert Rock was 1:01. So based on that, I'm thinking those 3 drivers able to save those fast pairs. Like I mentioned, I think I felt pretty good about Robert Rock there and Bob Fitzgerald for sure. I was nervous about Josh Purcell, I have to admit. So I'm also reading the Eat My Cinedust there in the front and the back of the truck. Again, the originality these guys have is just so much fun. So everybody's getting themselves lined back up in the correct positions for this restart. Going to have a couple teammates here in those top 3 spots there with Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, and Mark Cohn. And right now, Cole Cannon, his job is going to be try to find a way to spoil that party up in front of him. So, again, still very early, and we'll have to watch. Are the drivers going to have to make some adjustments on this here, Boomer, on this restart to say, hey, if that happened to Charles, I mean, what changed or what was weird about that for him? So we'll see as we hit the restart zone, as Gabe Butler is going to lead the field back to green starting lap number 5.
Away they go. The outside lane does not get going very well at all. And we'll see a couple X here jump into the high side there. But the 24 is going to send it off around the outside here. And we'll see if anybody can get through turn 3 turn off of turn 2. After that first really quick incident, just looked like that truck kind of snapped, and so far so good off of turn 2 down the back straightaway they go for the first time.
Yep, no dramas this time around. And now you can see Brian Bussard, he popped to the 3rd lane, but again, without the draft, that truck's not going to go anywhere. And we also saw Everett immediately, he saw that opening, he went ahead and slotted right in behind his teammate. And saw there for a second too, Mark Cohn, as soon as he saw an opening to get back down, he opted to do the same, as he was that other truck on that top lane. So right now, everybody's trying to find their way to kind of towards the bottom. The 2 that I'd be ready to watch, though, to try to make that second lane work is going to be that 10 and the 19. You can see already, Justin's already there. Hayden hasn't found a way to get up there yet, but expect to see those 2 have some opportunities to work together on the underdogs side of things. And then Josh Purcell. Oh, and there you go. They slot right in front of each other. And that's the perks of being in the same Discord. He can call him and say, hey, as soon as I'm clear, I'm going to tell you. As, ooh, these guys are getting loose out of turn 2, it looks like right now, Boomer.
Yeah, we saw that early on in that first incident, but for now at least, they're going to go single file down the back straightaway. A little bit of a check up there towards the back as Dean Wilkinson's going to make a move to that 3rd lane. For the most part, first 6 or so, maybe 8 or 9 trucks actually still single filed out, actually all the way back to, so far Dean Wilkinson's the first challenger, 2 wide in the 8th position at the moment. And
Gabe's going to jump out of line here, I should say. As I said, that Everett's going to lead lap. He's going to jump out of the way. Are we looking at a situation where we're in a spot where the drivers don't want to lead the laps and burn the extra fuel, or are we trying to look at some fuel save? I'm looking for teammates. Everybody looks to be safe. And actually, Gabriel in the middle there, that's going to allow the outside to really start to make us head of steam here with that 55, as well as the 57, and add the 9 to the mix. And yeah, they're going to slot in behind Hayden Davis, but in front of their teammate there, Eric Laurie. So that gets 3 of them together. Mark Cohn right now, the lone guy, not in that main pack. We saw one drift up there. I think, oh man, that was close with Hayden Davis and Everett Lane there. Everybody looks to be okay. But yeah, you can see now, same thing here. I'm watching Cole Cannon. He's kind of running, I want to say moving lanes, but definitely not just pinching the bottom here. So I'm curious the strategy right now, Boomer, because we talked about it under yellow. This caution doesn't change anything with the fact that they can't like cut a pit stop out. So maybe it's just one of those things where they just want to kind of go that extra lap. And we talked about if you can make that big in lap, that's where you can really start to make an advantage. So I wonder if the boot knockers are looking at trying to do a different pit strategy here.
Yeah, it could be. I think looks like the 39 might also be in a position to kind of drop back and maybe find a hole in between the 24 and the 88 there, as the 55, 57, 9, and 6 all have a pretty good run on the outside there. But yeah, it's I'm kind of curious to see why they're dropping back like that early. Maybe they're just trying to avoid some of the chaos up front. I'm not sure. Though, yeah, I mean, obviously with a short field, it wouldn't be too hard for them to get back up there. But yeah, as you mentioned, fuel pretty much going to be the same. Obviously with the early caution, you get maybe 2 laps less of the overall distance, so you do have a little bit more opportunity. It's still going to be probably a 4-stop night, but that does at least allow you, a little bit more of a grace period. And the 57 and the 55 are going to get disconnected here, and that's going to bring the 801 and the 88 on through. Cole Cannon and Josh Previte are going to go to the lead on the high side here.
Yeah, that was a big move there by Cole, and Josh was on top of it. He jumped right along with him. But you can see, though, they weren't able to get themselves both cleared, so they're going to stay up top here. And I'd say that big push there from the 10 of Justin Davis, that's got now that 57 back towards the point in Josh Purcell. So, yeah, so a great opening couple of sections for them there. And then, yeah, looking through the field, he saw Dean there. He jumped to the third lane, went ahead and just rolled straight on back there. So, yeah, right now, kind of, again, mixed strategy on what these guys want to do in this race, it seems like. Again, the drivers that I know that they're not here to just ride, they want to race. That's going to be Justin and Hayden Davis. I say, unfortunately, we don't see Brandon Briggs tonight, but I say I have a feeling Brandon is definitely kind of rubbed off on them a little bit with their aggression. And, yeah, right now it's a race that drivers aren't too feeling pressured to have to try to save and do, or not to try to have to lead, and they're rolling back if they want to. But you saw right there, though, the 57 dropped maybe a little too high. And Cole Cannon said, yeah, don't mind if I do. I'm going to jump to the front. He got a great push again from Josh Previte. And now that's actually got him back to the front here.
Yeah, and obviously, would never want to correct you for being an absolute superstar, stellar broadcaster. But I might say, instead of aggressive, I would say passionate. Obviously,
yes,
we know
yes.
in their dogs, and they are definitely they're gritty, and they want to be up in the front as much as they can. And obviously, definitely bummed Brandon's on the field, but I'm sure he'll be checking out either broadcast later if he's not watching live. So it's bummed to see those guys not have a 3-pack, but should be fun. But yeah, I mean, the 19's doing a pretty good job there, getting the push from the 81, 57 there. 4 trucks aligned and pushing pretty hard on the outside lane at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too, is if you can start to get comfortable with that kind of pushing, especially here at iRacing Superspeedway, that's going to really bode you well over the course of the race. And I think, like, you nailed it there, Boomer, so I appreciate you chiming in there. But yeah, passion is actually the perfect description of that. And we've talked about that from Brandon, even just on the booth side of things. That's something we've really loved about just from day one of having him here is the genuine passion and excitement he has for this. And man, we talked about the sucker hole before in NASCAR, and that is exactly what happened to Hayden Davis there. We saw Charles Johnson, he jumped top there, working with, I believe that was the 57 of Joshua Purcell, and they just left him out to dry. And I mean, he went from about first or third all the way back down to 12th just from that one little move there from that outside lane.
Yeah, unfortunate, but obviously, it is what it is. But I mean, it's interesting too, because I know sometimes we'd seen where you can actually go up the middle pretty quickly. This track obviously maybe being an exception compared to other Super Speedway styles, because it is a little different. It races a little differently just because of the honestly the different nature of it being a virtual only speedway. But it's interesting to see just how different it is. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I was spying on the speeds there, and so leader there, Josh Purcell, was pretty much flirting with that 200 mile an hour, about 198, 199, and then I peeked over at Justin Davis, who got a really good run there down the front stretch into turn number 1, and yeah, he was definitely hitting 200, 201. So again, definitely, I'd say 30, 40 miles an hour from what we've seen before. Again, this isn't something, it's just something changed on the iRacing side with the trucks or or how it was almost like they put the restrictors back on them at this track. Definitely something that I think pretty much almost every car seemed unrestricted here, except for, I want to say it was maybe the Gen 7, the COT, or not COT car, the next gen car.
Next gen, yeah.
But I think everybody else was usually pretty much full song. So I wonder if that's what got changed with the pace difference. But I mean, right now the racing seems to be pretty much the same. I think the only thing I haven't seen yet, which I 100% know it's going to be a commentator's curse, is the entry to turn 1 and turn 3. That's usually where we see those guys enter, hit the apron, and then wash up. And again, I think the slower speeds, it just depends on how quick these guys adjust it. Is maybe the slower speeds make it easier to not have to, or not to do that, because again, you're almost anticipating it before because of how fast you're going. So right now, so far so good. Everybody's been able to kind of mind their P's and Q's on that one.
Yeah, I think slowing it down is going to help. I mean, obviously, right off the bat, the 9 got wicked loose off of turn 2, kind of, I mean, seemingly unexpectedly at the beginning. It seems to be a little more settled down, and I think they're getting a handle for it. But we have seen a decent amount of weaving, snaking, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, but trucks moving laterally left to right at different times, and you see a little bit there as they're entering the corner. That outside lane kind of becomes, instead of riding, down the straightaways, they might ride, above that second or third seam or higher, really in the middle of the track. But as they enter the corners, it almost seems like they're turning down like a lane or a half a lane there. Obviously, they have the space to do it. There's nobody, down there that they're, cutting off or anything like that. Though it does seem like that they are anticipating it still just a little bit there, entering especially 3 and 1, as you mentioned. But I mean, yeah, it has, I don't, even if the speeds have fallen off, I really don't think that the intensity has really ramped down too much, at least, obviously from that first early issue. Who knows, if we wouldn't have had that, maybe we'd be saying a different story here right now. But for now, it does seem like it's racing fairly similarly to what we've expected in the past.
Yeah, and that is a really good point. Is a lot of times you'll have that quick early incident, and you're right, it kind of just kind of, it gets everybody like, oh, maybe we aren't able to go full send like we were thinking we could, and it just kind of tapers things off a little bit. And then, but again, though, them drivers being the way they are, they're going to start to get more and more confident, more and more aggressive. See Charles right there, just completely locked on the rear bumper of that 57 Josh Purcell through the backstretch into 3. And the other thing, Boomers, we're on lap 16. Again, these guys all pitted pretty much right off the bat there. So we did talk about the fuel window somewhere in the 16, 17 range, potentially. I was hearing 15 pretty much by yourself, full throttle. So that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on now, is going to be kind of who has to blink first, because we've had a pretty steady rotation of drivers that have kind of been cycling to the front. This has been about the most stable we've seen, with Josh Purcell, Charles Johnson really leading this pack, kind of rolling the inside line. And then that said, too, from just rolling the inside line, we talked about the boot knockers dropping back. Everett Lane now is in 4th, and then you talked about they're all together. Now, we mentioned Mark separated earlier. Mark Cohn's right there, Gabe Butler, Eric Lurie. So they are completely lined up, all 4 of them. So we'll see if they can maybe try to do that overcut, if you will, if we go for the F1 terms. Maybe run that extra lap and then go ahead and try to make that big in lap together, not have to pit with 14 trucks instead of just the 4 of them.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it doesn't look, I mean, actually, I would say it looks a little intimidating as you come down off of that banking, and then obviously the front straightaway still has, it's like 10 or 15 degrees of banking or more, I think, on the front straightaway, and you come down on the flat where the pit entry is, and then it narrows up so quickly that the inside wall for the pit lane starts, and immediately, you go from obviously this racing surface, which is, maybe 7 or 8 trucks width wide, and you go to, pit road, which is the entry is 2 or 3. So all that to say, I think it's going to be, as it always is here, it's going to be interesting to see that execution of that pit road, and as we get in there, making sure everyone makes clean stops.
Well, I was going to say, what do you think is going to happen when you see the whole field lined up on the inside lane? And I was going to say that they're going to hit pit road, and then they all went one more lap. So my thought was not proven correct there. But yeah, I mean, we've got the inside line train, so everybody's pretty much at this point is saying, okay, it's about to happen. However, though, what has happened, I'm not sure if there's a stack up or what, but you can see the gap from Brian Buster to Cole Cannon. It's 1.3 and growing. Bob Fitzgerald in his 08 truck looks fine. So I think there's a bit of a stack up that really slowed down that second pack, or sorry, the back of the pack there, and unfortunately caught these two off guard there. So I don't know if there's really a good option for these guys here. I mean, again, I think everybody's going to pretty much have to pit, I would say, in this next lap or two. Again, based on the numbers from what we saw or we talked about in practice. So if not, though, maybe they just go ahead and short pit. But like I said, here comes the first group of trucks here, and it is going to be, looks like a lot of the TW Motorsports trucks. So far, so good. And you can see in the back there, I'm watching Brian, I'm watching Bob. I think they try to hustle in there, but you can still see there's still a significant gap between them and the guys in front. So they're going to need to have a really good in and out lap to have a chance here to get back up to them. And so now this is where these four, we talked about them cycling their way further forward. They've just got to basically get the fastest lap they can right here. And then, they're in communication on Discord. They're saying, okay, I'm going to be on the left side. I'm going to be on the right side. Again, based it off of where everybody qualified. So Gabe was going to have the number one pits, or pretty much the number one pit stall of this group. So he's going to probably stay towards the right because he's going to be jumping into his pit stall the latest. So you always try to organize based on that for what's the best way of doing it. And so here they come, going to bounce off the apron there. And you see everybody starting to stagger, and even look at Gabe. He actually jumped around Mark. Mark is pretty much bump drafting there in the pit entry, and then you can see now everybody's jockeying for position. Bud Steele, same thing. He knows he qualified, I think, about last. I think he did qualify last, so he knows he has the first pit stall coming in. And then, like I said, for Gabe, he just has to go to the very, very end here, and we'll see how everybody cycles around with one another.
Yeah, that was pretty good execution, I think, from everybody coming down pit road. Obviously, the one interesting thing is that pit wall starts, and then the yellow line where pit road speed actually starts is, I don't know, 10, 15 car lengths later. So you can be aggressive, but obviously it gets pretty narrow pretty quick, and it looks like this group's going to come out together pretty well. And I think the first group lost a few cars. I think I only see about 4 or 5 trucks in their main pack at the moment. So we'll see. This pack is pretty well organized coming off of pit road, and on the back straightaway, we'll see where it all nets out.
Yeah, it's a big head of steam right now. You see Dean and Robert Rock. I think they had a big head of steam, so they said, hey, we're going to take this momentum to the top side. Oh, as I say, that caution's out. Oh, Eric Lorry's going to drift up. Oh, he's going to get hit hard there in the 071 truck. And I was about to mention that pit exit is very dangerous. Unfortunately, it's a big hit for Eric there, and it caught a couple other trucks there as well. I couldn't quite catch which ones they were. Let's say this is a great break for these guys, but unfortunately for Eric, though, let's say we'll hop on board here. Look at the wheel input he's got. That truck is crabbing, so he's just trying to limp this thing back to the pits there. And so, yeah, let's go back here. We'll watch the pit exit for Eric.
Yeah, it looks like he starts to get loose. And after he gets loose, there's maybe a little bit of contact here, but we'll watch it unfold.
Yeah, no, this section and the pit exit is so just treacherous. It feels like it's reverse banking. That's how crazy it is. But yeah, let's back it down. I apologize. Oh, yeah, you're right, though. I think maybe a little bit of contact from the 6 here. We'll take a look from this further angle. And
you can see the 071 just before that starts to get loose. And then unfortunately,
and it tries to catch it, and then just unfortunately, I mean, again, the other thing too is you see the gap they have to that truck in front, so they're trying to see if they can get up there as quick as possible. Just unfortunately not able to do so. But then you start to drop back to those guys who were leading that pack, and so this is what these guys see up ahead here. And so, but then let's actually go a little further back of these guys because. And we're cheating here. Let's go. Because, yeah, you don't know how far Eric's going to slide. So Dean's able to react. Charles Johnson's just catches him in the rear there. And
looks
so
like
I think
net code,
Yeah, a little bit of net code there. But unfortunately, I think it is indeed Josh Priscilla gets the worst of it here. Because, yeah, actually almost drives under him there. But, yeah, so we'll kind of wait and see. Sometimes net code can be a little bit of a beneficiary. But in this case for Josh, you can see that right front fender has not come back. Ooh, and look at the suspension damage, actually.
Wow.
So we'll hop on his roll bar. And, well, here it's showing his wheels pointed straight, but that right front is completely pointed off to the right there. So
yeah, that'll be a fast repair indeed. And obviously, like you said, like I mean, no harm, no foul for Bud Steele. He's trying to do what he can to make sure that group can stick with the guys ahead of him, and obviously those city one just gets loose. And I mean, yeah, it's hard to put any blame there at all. These guys are trying to go as fast as they can, and obviously, unfortunately for Purcell and was it the 9 that got a piece of that as
Yeah,
well?
Charles Johnson as well.
Yeah,
I think
both of
Charles
those
Johnson
guys.
may have gotten away with it. I think his may have been just one of those
Oh wow,
net
okay.
codes. But yeah, you can see
Purcell
Josh
definitely got a
Purcell though.
fast repair.
Yeah, I'm looking at damage repairs right now, or pit stop time, I should say, and yeah, Charles Johnson was 10 seconds, potentially a fast repair, but again, I didn't see any damage afterwards. But then, like I said, we saw with Josh Purcell, that car or truck, I should say again, looks nice and clean once more. And again, it was only a 15-second stop. Eric Laurie, same situation. It's about a 15-second stop, and you can see that truck on the back end is nice and happy again. But yeah, I think the big winners, though, like I said, for those that lost that draft, it's going to be the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald. I'm trying to remember the second truck that was. Oh, I think it was Brian Bussard was the other one, if I'm not mistaken, which I very well may be. But yeah, so huge break for those two guys to get back into the lead pack because, again, at that point, without a yellow, they're not getting back in this thing. And so right now we are on, say, where are we? Say, hunting down my lap number. Here we go. 23 coming to 24. So we're actually going to probably restart this race, Boomer, right on lap 25. So we'll pretty much hit that third distance, which we talked about the fuel mileage. So kind of I'm off by 10. I was thinking 15. I was thinking 25, 50, 75. But no, these guys can go about 15 on fuel. So yeah, I do wonder if this is going to play some fuel mileage strategies here. We have half the field here pitting. Mark Cohn was the first to do so. Brian Bussard's the last to stay out. So going to be a little mixed bag here for drivers to go ahead and take that little extra splash. Again, maybe it doesn't give them an extra lap, but it maybe at least should shorten that pit stop length, though.
Yeah, because I mean we're pitting here at lap 20 to 23 for those guys who just came down for some extra fuel. So like you said, the 15 lap mark, it's really not going to get them any. It's not going to cut out a pit stop by pitting one last lap or one extra lap here, but it does obviously as always give you a few little extra options, so you can put a little less fuel in towards the end. But that's going to put, I think, a lot of cars actually single file. So as we stack them back up, I think we're only going to have about 5 or 6 cars too wide, which I think is going to be about only 2 or 3 cars in the outside lane to start this or get restarted back here, a second restart of the night.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So for Mark Cohn back, it's going to be pretty much a single file restart here. So some of the other guys in front, well, actually, so far a lot of these guys haven't doubled up yet. So I'm a little curious to see. I thought for sure. Well, no, yeah. So Bob Fitzgerald should be the last one on the top side. Brian Bussard, with him being in P7, he would be on the inside. So yeah. So from 7th on back, you're going to have these trainer trucks on the inside. And then, yeah, so I mean, right now, Dean Wilkinson, he's going to hustle back to the back of these guys. And so he's hoping to make sure he doesn't get caught up in any according stack-ups, because that's the risk now when you're further back, especially when you're single file. You're thinking, I don't want to lose this draft here. As we get back to green, the Hayden Davis and Justin Davis they're going to start to roll back underway, but you can see it not able to get connected right off the bat. We'll see, does Justin jump up top to help his cousin / teammate? Oh, caution back out. And do we see that stack up that we were just worrying about there? Josh Purcell caught up in this one.
Yeah, that's one thing that we mentioned earlier. When we saw just before the caution, where those two, I think it was Bussard and Fitzgerald actually, that got hung out from being in the back of the pack. But yeah, that the checkup when the checkup happens in front of you, unfortunately, and I feel like it's almost worse on a restart, but it can be pretty bad at full speed too. But if you have to lift at all, or slam on the brakes, it's going to be very detrimental, especially in the draft. But it can be just detrimental here on the restart here, and we'll see if we can understand exactly. I'm assuming this is exactly what happens. You see the 24 getting close to the 6, and then as that happens, they're checking up, and the 57.
Yeah, he changes lanes at the same time. Yep.
Yeah,
and so
just
boom. Man, that's a big shot.
That's tough.
So yeah, so that's gonna be what we just talked about. I mean, he just had to use one of those fast repairs, so that's a tough decision now for him. Is he gonna need to burn another one? I think he probably feels like he's got to try to save it. So
Yeah, I feel like he's in an okay position there. I mean, the front end doesn't look nearly as bad, obviously, as that first crash. Maybe he does have a chance to save it. I guess you do see that right front tire just a little bit, but
I think it's worth a gamble. I mean,
yeah,
the nice part is if
exit
he
on
doesn't
pit road.
have required repairs, as in iRacing terms called a meatball, I think you jump in the pits, you see how long it's going to take to fix, and then you make the call from there. If it's like, hey, it's going to take a minute, you're fine. A pit stop under yellow, or I say a lap under yellow here is over a minute. So I think at that point it's definitely worth giving it a try. So, and the other thing though, the problem is he's not going to have that full minute because leaders are already on pit road, and teammates actually split strategy here with Hayden Davis, Justin Davis. Justin says, I'm just going to stay out. And we do have a few others staying out here as well. Bob Fitzgerald, Mark Cohn. But yeah, so a little difference of opinions on some of these guys. But yeah, the problem right now for Josh, though, is, I mean, as he's entering pit road now, not even as pit box, leaders at turn 1.
Behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll still have plenty of time to get some repairs. And I guess if we focus on him, we'll see if that fender pops back real quick. And obviously that's indicative of a fast repair used. But yeah, it's a little interesting to see the split strategy, but for the most part, I mean, like we mentioned, this still isn't going to be enough to get a, to eliminate another pit stop. So we're still kind of in that window here. I mean, yes, it's lap 26, but you're probably 4 or 5, 3-4 laps away from being able to cut one extra pit stop out. And it looks like, yeah, Purcell, don't see that fender pop back immediately. So it looks it's gonna be some extended damage repair for him, and the 55 also sitting on pit road for a little while too.
Yeah, as saying, I am looking. Josh and obviously Dean are both on the TW Discord, so maybe a little bit of strategy where Dean's like, "Hey, let me roll back and hang out." Although Dean was, I mean, that's a damage repair length pit stop there, about 36 seconds. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. However, I don't know if we're being spied on or not, Boomer, because I see a favorite son popping in over here.
Might be true.
So you're not on track in the shaky wagon. So he's rolling now. He's still got significant right front damage. Actually no, he has to, because look at the field's already in turn 4. So this is, I don't know, Boomer. I feel like this is probably fast repair territory.
Yeah, it's so hard to want to burn that. I mean, we're not even. Well, I guess we just barely passed the 1/3 mark of this 75 lap race. That's so tough, because if he does get, say that happens again on the next restart, obviously not hoping for that, but we've seen, he's been involved in a couple pretty heavy front end hits early, and if that happens immediately after we go back green, then his night's done. So for him, I think obviously, the car's drivable right now. It might be under speed. Though if another quick caution comes out and he doesn't take that fast repair, he's in really great shape and has a chance to continue on to run for the rest of the night. I think it's, I don't know, I think it's too much of a gamble for him to go and take that fast repair here. And I commend the effort that he's trying to make to trying to salvage, to make the conservative call, try and salvage as much of his night as he can. So we'll see. Hopefully he can get a decent amount more repaired here. The pace car's about halfway down the back straightaway, so he'll have about half or just under half.
He may
of
not
pace
catch the
lap to get
draft
repaired here. Maybe, we'll see.
That's the other thing right now is we'll watch. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the pace car, it's not a slow pace lap. They're going 90. So we'll see if we see that fender pop right out nicely. And yep, there it is, all better. Hopefully no tires. Yep, down and away. It's going to be close. I don't know if he's going to get there in time, Boomer, because pace cars are already in 3 and 4 with Hayden Davis leading the way there. So yeah, I think unfortunately Josh is on his own here. We'll see what Dean does, if Dean's trying to get back up to the field or not. But yeah,
he's full song, it looks like.
Yeah, I think Dean's going to have to go too. And even Dean's going to be at risk, truthfully. Well,
yeah, I mean, I think
find out.
Saving grace is that he's full throttle, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed, but they're in the restart zone, and green flag is back out on the speedway. Oh, it's going to be tight for that 55 to get there. Definitely will not be able to get there for the 57, though.
Yeah, no, 57's not even out of turn 4 yet. I don't think Dean's getting there. I think he's going to fall back as well. So, obviously he's going to try until he can't have any chance at it. But up front, though, it's going to be Hayden Davis. the one of the two drivers that did not pit under that yellow, the other being Mark Cohn in the 39. So that's the other thing that I was talking about, Boomer. It doesn't change the pit stop, the amount of stops, but they're going to have to take more fuel on their stop. And again, that could play a role if we talk about plugging that second can of fuel and such in. So, but yeah, you get to Brian Bussard. He's the last truck in this main pack here in the 27. You got to go 3 seconds back to Dean. So
Yeah.
this is a tough decision for Dean to make because, okay, I can roll solo and I know I'm going to lose seconds a lap. The problem is if I try to drop back to Josh, I'm losing 18 seconds to get all the way back to that draft window. So kind of between a rock and a hard place for that 55 truck. So he's going to unfortunately need some bad luck for others to get himself back in a good spot here.
Yeah, and same for the 57 of Purcell. Unfortunately, took the faster pair, kind of bit the bullet there, had to, and at this point he really has to have a caution come out no matter what. And so does Dean. Dean I saw back up to about 2.5 seconds behind, and that was when that advantage started to strip away through turns 1 and 2 there, unfortunately. So, but the rest of the field here from 1st to 13th all lined up nose to tail. Charles Johnson still leading the way. Josh Previtt, Mark Cohn, Justin Davis, Hayden Davis, Bob Fitzgerald, Lane, Laurie, Steele, and Butler, your top 10 at the moment here. And single file, and looking at lap 30 here. So now we'd be getting into a potential area of, this would have been probably the second scheduled green flag pit stop. So we're kind of getting to a point where it could be a possibility to maybe stretch one last, pit stop. But obviously with how close we were to just pitting there, it would be really tight. But you never know. If there is another caution from here on out, I think we'll have a chance to maybe at least do one of those pit stops under yellow and eliminate a green flag pit stop. We've really only seen one cycle so far. There you see the 55. He's going to be definitely a low man, and as you see there,
Anchor has been weighed.
It's going down, so he is going to drop back and try to pick up Purcell and see what they can do to stop that bleeding. So
I'm okay with that decision, and the really smart thing for Dean is he made that decision quickly. It wasn't one of those like, well, let me see. It was like, I lost the draft. Let me get back to Josh. And again, I think it will probably, it might net out about even for him, but it's obviously going to help Josh a lot. So
yeah,
I think this is a good call. But you can see, I mean, for Dean, it's almost at this point, it's like just put the clutch in and just let it roll until that 57 gets to you. I'm sure it feels like he's just basically in idling at this point. But yeah, so they're going to get hooked up probably this lap, it looks like, because again, Dean's, like I said, he's backing it down. His last lap was 1:06. Leaders were at 54 flat. So, I mean, he's running 12 seconds slower there. And Josh Purcell, for a good reference here, Josh on his own was a 57 flat. So it's about a 3-second difference by themselves for pace-wise. So it'll be fun to compare once Dean and Josh get locked on together. All right, what kind of lap times can they run with one another? And I would say that's probably going to be maybe in the 55. It'll definitely be 55, 56-second bracket range. But I think we're getting that situation where mixed strategy on do you want to lead or not. Mark Cohn, I think he got that lap lead and said, okay, I'm going to roll out of it. And say now we finally have seen the Davis cousins get locked on together. I think this might be the first time in this whole race that they've been able to actually get nose to tail.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time splitting strategies and kind of moving around, but I think they did have one moment earlier, but it really wasn't for long. It didn't seem like. But one of the things I wanted to touch on there with you mentioning, the 55 going back to help the 57, obviously teammates there, so a very solid move for to help those guys out. But in Superspeedway racing, there's a lot of stuff where you kind of have to make a decision and you have to commit to it immediately, because there's so many decisions that you make. If you're saving fuel, you can't do that 20 laps into a run. And if you're, pushing hard and you're going to pit one more time than everybody else, well, if you don't push hard, for the first 10 laps of that run, you're wasting your opportunity. So good on 55 and the 57 55 for making that call. Obviously, probably some teammates, reasoning involved in that decision, though he did make that decision very quickly and committed to it, and props to them for that, and see where that leads them. I think next time by we'll get an update on their speed, but yeah, mid 54s right now for the leaders When the 57 and the 55 cross the line, it'll be about 54.83. So they were actually only 4/10 of a second slower than the leaders. So could be because this group is now too wide, but that does help quite a bit for 55 and 57.
Yeah, I think, big wiggle there from Hayden pushing Justin. And you also see right behind them as well, Josh Previtt locked onto the back of Bob Fitzgerald. So, yeah, so right now, like you said, I mean, that's actually probably a net gain for Dean, too, when you look back at it for that kind of time loss. Because, we talked about, I think it was 4 seconds we said with the difference when they were solo versus with the full pack. So, yeah, I think that's definitely the right call there. And again, then we look at the fuel decisions on some of these guys. Still a long ways to go until that stop. Obviously, Hayden Davis pitting at 22, though. And right now is at least the second truck in line. Bob Fitzgerald, though, you talk about the drivers, they don't want to sit and ride. I say Bob is usually one that's kind of just takes it easy. But I think he sees what's happening in this race. Everybody's just kind of riding a little bit. And so this is a perfect opportunity for Bob to say, hey, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to get some laps led, get some time on TV. And show off what I'm able to do. As they just haven't had the luck, I feel like, these last couple of seasons to get there. So I say won't lead this lap, but again, he's got a great helper with Everett Lane behind him as well. So he's saying again, this one was deals where it doesn't have his teammates lined up, but you race with these guys season after season, you really get to kind of know their ins and outs, and that's where these guys really kind of can just work with everybody there, and that brings some of the new guys in. Like, oh man, these. Even if they're cousins, though, they get a little scary for me coming out of turn 2 there.
Yeah, and the 81 pushing oh man. The 81's pushing the back bumper of the 19 quite a bit, and he's going to jump to the bottom there, maybe not quite clear. And he's going to go to the bottom there. The 801, maybe, nope, he bails, and the 08's going to follow him behind there. But man, that 81 was pushing the 19 down the back straightaway with about half of the front bumper connected to the rear bumper there. And man, that was an interesting moment there. And the 81 is going to be able to get to the top side here. It looks like ahead of the 10 and the 19, and they should be able to get organized down the front straightaway here. And actually, no, the 801 is going to jump to the inside of the 19, and the 9 is going to follow him through.
I'm wondering, like you're talking about with the way they were split off there, I think Hayden was probably getting that truck just dangerously hot there. And you can see what that's allowed. It's all that kind of jockeying around. Everett Lane's been able to stay locked onto Bob Fitzgerald, and Bob's just basically said, yeah, don't mind if I do. I'm going to go ahead and grab this lead and hold on to it for a little while, because they still have to kind of rebuild that momentum up top now with Josh Previtt leading the group in that DuPont truck. So it's going to take a few more laps for them to kind of build themselves fully back up to speed. So but yeah, on the pit stop side, like we were mentioning, though, Mark Cohn, lap 23, as well as the 10 truck, or no, not the 10 truck. I've lost the teammates. Hayden Davis on lap 22. Sorry, again, we talked about, he was right up front there. Now he's dropped all the way to pretty much the last truck in that pack there. But yeah, so those two would be the earliest ones to pit. And then Hayden was up front there pushing and leading a bit. So he's going to be the earliest one on pit road, and I'm a little nervous for him. I feel confident for Mark Cohn. I feel like his teammates will go with him in the 39 truck, and he's also right in the middle here, just able to save some fuel as well. But yeah, so that's a bit of my concern, though. Is just going to be, again, when these guys have to pit, and then how much longer those stops could take.
Yeah, definitely. Mark and, as you mentioned, Hayden probably in the worst positions here, at least for the 39. He's covered. Obviously, the 19 was up there a little bit further ahead, burning maybe a little more fuel than necessary. But the 55 and the 57, we took a glimpse there for a second. They're only about a second off of the leaders here, and that's helping them definitely minimize the damage as we talked about. So they're less than, or I guess just more, maybe a little over half a track behind or so. And but the 81 continuing to lead here, the 10, the 08, the 801, 24, the 9, those guys are all up in the mix. And for now, probably getting closer to the next set of pit stops, only because of, as you mentioned, Hayden Davis and Mark Cohn really being the only ones that haven't pitted in the last two yellow flag sequences there.
Yeah, the cautions will help their cause on the fuel mileage side of things, so they'll probably be able to go that little extra. But yeah, I think probably will be in for sure within the next, I would say 4 laps would be my rough idea. So then we get back to that green flag pit stop situation. We obviously saw the spin on the exit on the first time around. Quabi, I don't know how familiar you are. It's been a little while since we raced here at iRacing Superspeedway. Obviously, definitely its own animal. Do you have any memories of how you would kind of plan on the entry and the exits here at iRacing? Because, yeah, I mean, like I told Boomer, I feel like it's almost negative banking when you're exiting pit road here.
Yeah, first of all, I forgot when you're watching a stream, it drops you the channel, so sorry for stalking you guys. Yeah, I think it's the exits really just have to be delicate on that throttle, especially if you don't take tires, which usually you don't, and just pretend like it's ice and stay. I like to stay like, towards the yellow line, so you have at least a little banking to help. And then entry, sort of just point it straight. Don't put any wheel input when you drop off the banking and close your eyes.
Yeah, I think closing the eyes might be the best approach there, Boomer. But I did catch right there. I saw one guy catch that entry in the apron a little bit there entering turn 3. Everybody got away with it. But then the other thing I'm watching is Brian Bustard there in that 27 truck. He's going to catch back up to him. But when you're that last truck in the pack, especially when they've all singled out here, you've got to be really careful not to lose that draft, because it just takes just the smallest amount of a hiccup. And then from there, if you lift and then they get the throttle back on, get the momentum back, you're going back the wrong way. So this is where he's really in a dangerous spot there for Brian. And he is one of those guys, he is rolling solo on the Discord. So I think he's also, I mean, that might be an opportunity. He's like, hey, I should probably try to find someone to kind of start working with. And same thing, I was poking around on the Discord as well. I think Josh Previtt's in the same boat. I don't see him in Discord anywhere. So I think Josh is in the same situation where he's rolling on his own. And here, this is the concern I had, though. This is really early for Hayden and Justin. And look at the separation they have as well. They're going to be hard-pressed right now, I think, to hold the draft. They're going to have to be very aggressive here during this pit stop cycle.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to have to be here. They're going to be in a bit of a disadvantage to some of the field here. Obviously, we're still waiting to see if Mark Cohn's going to have to answer that call soon or not. And it'll give a better chance for pretty much everybody else to be able to go quite a ways further. Obviously, Charles Johnson on forward will probably be in good spot, although Everett Lane up there in third probably will pit with Mark, or at least you'd expect him to pit with his the rest of that teammate squad there. So we'll see how soon they come. If they can go a couple extra laps, that's great. It's actually not the case. 24 is going to lead the charge down. They're coming the 39, the 88, the 71 as well.
Yeah, it looks like nice and clean. Brian Bustard's going to join them too, but again, a little worried about how far back he is on this one. So we'll have to wait and see. Is that enough? It's one of those ones where you maybe take the gamble and get really aggressive on your pit entry. And then I can tell you, Justin, Hayden Davis, they are back out. They have come out together. About 11, 12 second stop there. So I believe that's going to be right side tires. And so we'll keep an eye and see what these guys do. We'll actually watch their stop here. We should see the rights. Actually, no, lefts only on these guys. So there you go, strategy call. And so this will shorten that pit stop. And you can see already down and away. Also in the 11-second window, 12 seconds. But it looks like they're all going to come out pretty much together here. So that'll be the next question, is where do they come out in relation to Justin and Hayden? But now we see, do the leaders, do they react to this? And yep, here you come. The rest of the field is going to hit pit road. Oh, well, one that couldn't make it there. It's Bud Steele. I don't think that was intentional there. I think he just wasn't going to be able to make it in. And so this is going to be just, unfortunately, a really big hit for Bud, because this is going to be a full lap now on his own here. And it's going to feel like he just threw a parachute out of that 6 truck, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for the 6. Obviously, the numbers for Razzo Motorsports have gone down as of late, and unfortunately, he's the only one there in that chat. So, yeah, so he's going to be definitely tough, when you're not in communication with other drivers to be able to make that call with a group. And unfortunately for him, going to be kind of out on an island. At least he'll have some people to come with here, but we'll definitely be a bit lonely, for a little while.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing, is to see right now for Bud Steele is I think he takes the gamble here. You go as aggressive on pit entry as you can here. And you can see he's going to hustle in there. I think this is the speed cone, if I'm not mistaken, right there. So I think he maybe gave up a little bit on pit entry. So that's going to be the next thing to watch, is to see kind of the in and outs and the pit lane time. That's one of those ones I always love to look at. But right now, coming up with the head of steam is the 4 Bootknocker trucks there. And they've gotten up to Josh Previtt. Josh is going to same thing. He's going to run a little high here, try to get that arc down, shorten the turn here, and then just try to see if he can grab onto the draft here. Just whether or not the momentum of those four is too high for it to pull him. But right now it looks like job is going to be well done by the 171 of Robert Rock and the 9 of Charles Johnson. But we will for sure have at least 6 trucks in this main pack. Bud Steele just mentioned him. He's just rolling out of pit road now. So obviously you can see he's going to lose this main pack. I think his best hope right now is if he could find a way to get to Bob Fitzgerald, to Hayden Davis. I don't think, no, he's not going to have a head of steam there. So unfortunately that extra lap here, that's going to drop him back where he's going to have to make that same tough decision of how far back does he fall. And I think he's just got to now wait for Brian Bussard, just lock on with him and just basically run a little faster like we saw worked for Dean and Josh.
Yeah, definitely helps to have at least one partner with you there. It makes a big difference as far as minimizing that bleeding there. But Bob Fitzgerald's going to try and do what he can to lead that group here as we jump up front. Robert Rock, Charles Johnson, Everett Lane, and the rest of the Bootnakas are all going to be in this group here. So 2 for TW, all 4 of the Bootnakas up in the top 6 in contention here. And as we come across the stripe, a little bit of an advantage to Bob Fitzgerald by a couple tenths there over the leaders. And a few less tenths over the guys directly in front of him as the Bootnakas were still getting back up to speed there. But yeah, that actually looks like the 801, the 81 of Private might be disconnected there, unfortunately.
Him, yeah. And I think he was leading that pack, and I think they were able to get around him, and then from there it dropped him here. I'll say I'm going to go back and we'll take a look at it here. So you can see Josh here down on the inside line, and these guys are just going to kind of swing back around him. And yeah, I think just unfortunately we talked about it, just the pace difference, and yeah, not sure if that. I think he had already made his pit stop, so I don't think he was off sequence from those guys. So I think just something, if he backed it down to not be leading or what it was, but fortunately that's going to wind up costing him that draft. But yeah, like you said though, lap time wise, this time it's about identical. Robert Rock with 53.49, Eric Lorry, or sorry, Bob Fitzgerald has the 47, 53.35, so about a tenth and a half quicker, and they're right. They're tantalizingly close right now. They're about 2 seconds off the back of Eric, actually a little less. So I say another half second, they're going to start to sniff the draft off that 071. The only downside is it's going to be close on Fuel Boomer. These guys pitted around lap 43. We're going to go to 75. We talked about that pit window, going maybe in that 15, 16, 17 range, depending on how, obviously, if you're leading or not. I'm wondering if some of these guys, if anybody can one stop it or if it's an easy one stop for everybody, but I feel like it's going to be tight.
Yeah, everyone 43, 42. Unfortunately, the only one that I think would be somewhat confident in making it is the guy who's on an island, Bud Steele. So unfortunately, he came on 44, but he does have some help with
he finally backed
there
down
now.
To Brian.
Yeah, but still, I think, we'll see. It's obviously anything's possible. It'll be tough. Let's just put it that way to get one of those extra stops eliminated there. But yeah, it'll be really tight there. I think everyone's still going to have to go one more, or they're going to have to save like absolute crazy. So.
Oh, Josh Previtt has had a moment, or I think he is. Oh yeah. I'm not sure if something happened, or if, I said unfortunately he's definitely had a moment. Let's go back here. So he comes out of 2. Man, just straddles the apron there, and I'd say it might be one of those things where when you're kind of off on your own there, it's really easy to lose focus. But the one thing he does do here, though, is he gets as far off the racing groove as possible, then takes that toe, which does keep the race under green here, and I think may have called it here. So yeah, so I think maybe a little mistake, and then just said, you know what, just as saying sometimes frustration will get the better part of us, and so again, I'm just speculating there, but yeah, so unfortunately that's an early retirement for him in that 81. And yeah, I'm looking at this foursome here though, Boomer. They're gonna get there. They've burned a lot of fuel to do so, and so that's gonna be the next thing to watch, and that's gonna be the other part as well as the Bootknockers. They all pitted at 42. But then they've been pretty much in draft mode behind behind Charles Johnson, I should say, sorry, who pitted at 43, but he and Robert Rock have been leading this entire time. And then, so in Cole Cannon, Bob Fitzgerald, they've been having to push really hard to get back up there. Now they've got so. And now Charles Johnson's actually, now that they've caught him, he's actually going to drop to the back here. I think we've got some strategy at play here. But again, he's got to be careful not to drop back too far because, again, we've seen now a few of them lose the draft. And there goes Robert Rock doing the same. So I think we're looking at a fuel number for these drivers is kind of the vibe I'm getting here, Boomer.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right here, and yeah, it's gonna be tight, but we'll see how it all unfolds here. As we're down to the point where we're counting laps down instead of counting them up, so we're into the final third of this stretch here.
Yeah, so I'm doing some quick ugly math there, and so basically for the Boonarker side, I think they need to run 17 laps, and I think it's going to be the same thing for the other guys too. I think they need to run 16 to 17 laps, so I think magic numbers, if they can pit with 16 to go, I think they're probably good to the end without any dramas. If there's 17, maybe a little bit of saving needed to be done. But yeah, here you go though. This is gonna be now that musical chairs of drivers not wanting to lead, because last lap Everett Lane ran a 55.13. Gabe Butler, I'd say obviously in the same boat there. So then you go back to the guys that are kind of on their own. Bud Steele 55.37, 54.71 for Josh Purcell, Dean Wilkinson. So right now these two trucks right here are actually running quicker than the leaders, because these leaders do not want to lead this race, because they're all looking at that fuel tank knowing, again, these guys are smart. They know the fuel numbers. And so they're thinking, okay, this is the pace I got to run to make it to the end. And the biggest question mark for me is going to be the Davis cousins, because they pitted at 41. And that really, unfortunately, all stems back to when the one stayed out there under caution, didn't pit there, forced their hand to pit early. And that's kind of what's put them in this tough position now. Yeah,
it's going to put them definitely behind the 8 ball, as most of these others are all lined up nose to tail together. But yeah, it's going to be I think pretty much everybody here from 1st through 9th should be in a pretty decent spot for the rest of this one. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's still a long way to go, and there's still a lot that could happen.
Yeah, I know, exactly right. So when we got these guys trained up like we do, Boomer, we love to run through and show off the paint schemes, show off the drivers. I say a lot of times they have some really good looking helmets as well. So we're going to kick it off with Gabe Butler, started in second, currently in the lead in that 88 truck. Right behind him, teammate Everett Lane. I'm getting ahead of myself there. Teammate Everett Lane in that 24 truck right now. He is up 5 spots to second. Then we get to Mark Cohn in that number 39, sitting in the 3rd position, up 3 spots as well. Eric Lurie started 5th, running in 4th in that 071 John Deere machine that we were very used to seeing. Talk about Bob Fitzgerald, up 5 spots into P5 in that number 08. Saw him say, again, I think he's in a really good spot here as well, just based on when he pitted, where he's been on track as well, saving fuel now, I'm sure, in that 08. Cole Cannon in the 801 did a really good job pushing him there in that Utah Gold Buyers Chevrolet. Then we get to the Davis cousins. Justin Davis first off in that number 10, up 2 spots into P7. 3 spots gained is the cousin Hayden Davis in that number 19 truck, as he sits in 8th. Then you get to Robert Rock in the top 10, up 4 spots to the 9th position. Also, again, was leading a lot of laps there, Charles Johnson, and then once they got past, they went ahead and dropped anchor to get back here. And I think same thing, saving a lot of fuel. Charles Johnson, our pole sitter tonight, right now is the last truck in the top 10. Again, though, this is by strategy for him in that Chevrolet, so we'll see what Charles has for strategy once we get to that final pit stop window. Then, unfortunately, the drivers that just lost the draft is the 27 of Brian Bussard. We had mentioned that earlier, fell off the back and just couldn't get back up to him during the pit stop cycle. And then Bud Steele just got left out, unfortunately, and under that pit stop cycle where they went that one extra, or he went the one extra lap, and that's all there was to it. Unfortunately, there's no recovering from that point. So he's found a friend, though. They're picking up lap time compared to where they were at for sure. And then same thing for these two, having some pit stops under caution, didn't get back to the field. Tough decision for Josh to make on the fast repair side of things. Dean Wilkinson just couldn't catch back up as well during that whole cycle. And so I'm watching the timing and scoring, Boomer, and we're playing musical trucks here. Where now all the Bootknockers said, yeah, we don't want to lead anymore. And that's going to put Bob Fitzgerald now back to the point as now the Bootknockers are all going to start to slide right back behind him. And so, yeah, so we've turned this race into a bit of that chess match as we're approaching I'd say about 5 laps until that scheduled pit stop window.
Yeah, I think that does tell me that it's going to be more likely that we're going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to get that extra pit stop or save having to deal with an extra pit stop. 88, 24, 39. They're doing a good job. Obviously, they had one less lap of fuel than everybody else. And, I mean, even some of the leaders, Bob Fitzgerald, ran a 56.19 that last lap. Obviously, Gabe Butler and them slowed down, so they ran a little slower. But I mean, this does bode well for the guys that are further on back. Bussard, Steele, Purcell, Wilkinson. But I don't think that they're going to have enough of a chance to make up enough of that time, unfortunately. But definitely, the entire lead pack is saving fuel at this point to make it happen. To eliminate that one extra stop.
Yeah, and then the other part of it too is now with all of them behind the TW team, it allows them to have that opportunity potentially to go ahead and jump into the pits. Ideally, obviously, separate of the TW drivers. That way they can maybe see if they can get that better in and out lap. Then that's going to be the next question is going to be who does have the best fuel mileage, or are they all going to have to come, all 10 of them in at that exact moment, which again, I think the goal is to get to 16 to go. But again, though, like you mentioned, some of these guys, they've really backed the pace down. So is this one of those like, hey, we actually can go one more lap? So yeah, it's going to be fun to see kind of who blinks first in all this. And I'm sure poor Josh and Dean, like they're pretty much just that straightaway ahead of these leaders, and that's pretty much where they've been this whole time because of that fuel saving. Kind of ebbs and flows for who's the faster laps. So you'll see as they come down the front stretch, you look in the background here and you'll just about to see there come the leaders. So it's right there, and we're going to be 18 to go here, Boomer. So again, this upcoming time around I think is doable, not comfortable. I think if they can get to that 16 to go, I think that's the number that is the main goal to hit.
Yeah, and with how much they are backing down, sped up a little bit more that last time by, but they're still running, low. They're almost about a second off of their fastest lap. Cole Cannon's fastest was a 53.13. He just ran a 54.16, so second slower than their fastest. So they're definitely backing down quite a bit here.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, and that's the really cool part of the team side of things too. Is these guys are probably in communication where they know who has what on the fuel side of things, and so Bob is going to be like, hey, at the line, I've got this many gallons of fuel, and the other drivers can say, okay, based on that, I'm at this. So we'll see. So here you go. We got a first set of drivers, and it's a split strat. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not the first. It's the Davis cousins. Again, they had to come in early because of the fact that they pitted early that previous time. But I'm going to say great job to those two because they got all the way to 17 to go, and I really didn't know if they'd be able to pull it off. So they've done some good fuel saving here, but now they got to really execute this pit stop. I think we'll see what we saw previously. I would expect to see probably just the left side tires popping on these guys. Oh, a little short pit there for the 10, had to get back on the throttle. And no, fuel only though, so they're going to try to go as quick as possible. But this is what Quabi said a little earlier. With no tires, a lot of times it's very scary on the pit out. They're going to come out right together though. So that's really good opportunity for those two. So we'll have to wait and see how they come. But as they come out of pit road, I would say, do we see the remaining 8 trucks all in together? Can anybody go one more? And, oh, it's a split strategy again. I don't know if this is what the other two wanted to see there. So we're going to have 6 trucks coming in all together. Robert Rock, Charles Johnson, they're going to run one more. So they'll be easily good on fuel here, but it's a bit of a gamble here because those 2 trucks, they'll be decently quick, but definitely not as fast as a pack.
Yeah, 2 is definitely going to be less than the pack.
Oh, Cole Cannon caught the wall in the pit entry there.
Yeah, slid through his box.
No, I mean, he's got damage. I don't think he's still in his box here. I think that
he might be if he's not adjusting anymore, but man, that is unfortunate for that 801.
He's down and away. We'll have to wait and see. We'll go back and check after the pit stop cycle is complete, so we'll see where everybody came through. Say, Cole's going to hate me for checking it, but We'll have to see what happened here. And so here you go. These guys are giving it everything on the entry here. You can see they're going for every 10th of a second there. That looks nice and clean for these two. And they're also on polar ends of pit road here, as Charles Johnson, our pole sitter, Robert Rock started, I believe, in about 12th position, I think, or so. So yeah, so he's going to be coming in very early, and then Charles is going to have a nice clean entry to his as well. Rock hits his pit stall nice and clean. The left side tires are going on for him. Then we get to that 9 truck, also left side's going on here. And they're tantalizing close to Josh Purcell and Dean Wilkinson as well. So there goes Robert Rock. Here comes Charles Johnson. And they are going to roll off pretty much lockstep. So great job by the two of them. So now we got to see where do the others come. You can see there the three of the boot knockers are together. You see the one, though, he's lost the back of the field there. That is Eric Laurie. But look at the Davises. They are still in this thing, too. So great job again, Hayden and Justin. They've held on to this main pack here. We've lost Eric Laurie. We've lost Cole Cannon. Now we got to see how these two do on their pit exit. Can they get these two trucks up to speed? As we're 15 to go here, now it's up to Charles Johnson, Robert Rock. Can they keep this momentum built up and hold the draft? And I'm going to say right now, answer is probably pretty much a solid yes here, as Charles is going to get to the back. Give him a little nudge here to get that momentum built back up. And here comes the boot knockers, though.
Yeah, it should be a pretty decent sized pack here that's going to be committed to each other, trying to finish this race out and race it out for the win.
They're staying put.
Yeah.
So fuel maybe still not the most confident. So, but yeah, so no, that's a great job by. So yeah, so we're gonna have now 8 trucks in this pack. Unfortunately, Eric Laurie and Cole Cannon, they're gonna lose that group. And again, I apologize to Cole, but we gotta go see what happened here on that pit entry. Let's see if we can go back to enter the pits. It's already happened, so we'll go back a little further. I'll say it doesn't want me to see, I don't think. It really does not want to show me what's happened here. All right, I think I've gone far enough back now. So I say again, Cole, I apologize, but unfortunately, obviously a lot happened there. So we'll watch him jump on a pit road. All looks good through here. And this is where we talk about brake bias here on this one, Boomer, too, because it might be one of those things where it works to some extent, or was there, I mean, he's got a big enough gap. And so I was going to say maybe he got some contact to the left rear when he was getting into his pit stall, but I feel like he's got a big enough position here. Oh, I think he just missed where his pit stall was, made that sharp left, and yeah, not ideal there. So again, apologize to pull it up, Cole. That's never fun to see, but we'll jump back up front here, Boomer, because yeah, these guys are all lockstep. I think they're now it's the waiting game, and it's the win, not if, as actually they're going to catch Dean here and Josh Purcell. They're going to put those two now a lap down, but it gives TW a couple more hitters now for the drafting side of things.
Yeah, that does help quite a bit. And, even if they're out of it, they still have an opportunity to kind of help their teammates there. And, we've mentioned how much of a difference it makes between 2 to 4 or 5 trucks in a draft. And it gives them a chance to do something there. I mean, obviously they have the point right now, so they're going to have to work their way back up if they want to help out the 171 and the 9, as the 88, the 24, 30, 9 are all linked up still in the middle there. But yeah, definitely it always helps to have as many of your friends as you possibly can in a short in a short span, or of seeing the same pack here.
And the one thing I'm noticing is Eric Laurie hasn't backed it down to try to pick up Cole Cannon. This will be interesting to see kind of how the pace difference is between them and the Brian Bussard, Bud Steele, and same thing until now, obviously, with the lap of Dean Wilkinson's Josh Purcell, because Eric Laurie ran a 57.19, 57.20 for Cole Cannon, so they're 3.5 seconds apart, but running identical laps. However, Brian Bussard, Bud Steele, they're running 54.80s, so they're over 2 seconds a lap quicker. I think about 2.5 a lap quicker. That's doable. They can get there actually in the time of this race, so that'll be fun to see what the strategy is going to be on that one, and see if anything changes as they watch their intervals. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. I do want to give Matt a little bit of love peeking in on the YouTube chat. Say he's rooting for that 39 of Mark Cohn. He sits in the 4th position. Quabi, if you're still here, do you have any special message you want to shout out to our favorite nerd, Matt Wagner?
He's the biggest nerd we know.
All right, that's fair. And I think Matt's biased because Mark's got some very nice sim gaming expo, which is coming up very soon. And I know that Matt is going to be part of that one. I want to say he's going to be doing some broadcasting himself on the IndyCar side of things. They have a lot of special events that you can take part in and try out for. So, yeah, it's a really, really cool thing. One of these years I'll get out there. This one's coming up in, I think, less than a month, about a month or two, I think, at the most. So, yeah, definitely be a lot of fun. There's some couple of cool guys that we know will be out there. Matt's been able to meet some guys. I want to say Ryan Kelly was one that he got to meet last time around. So, yeah, it sounds like it's always been a good time, and looking forward to seeing and hearing what they got in store for this upcoming year.
So it's everyone's opportunity to meet Matt Wagner in person. Huh?
Yeah, he might need to get those autograph cards ready. I think Boomer would be there, but he's going to be on baby duty, so he probably can't make the trip.
Yeah, most likely.
And also, big shout out to you, Boomer, for A, being here, and B, also the misses. We're super excited for you guys. Let's obviously got to chat a little bit pre-race, but looking forward to the official announcement of the Munchkin showing up. So, say you'll have some well-earned time off. Although I don't know, does FMLA now, does that cover sim racing broadcasting? I haven't checked our contract.
I think we'll have to check in on that. Obviously, I'd have to be here no matter what to get paid. But I think really it's not the paperwork with FMLA, but it's the paperwork with the boss there. So I have to check in with her, and depending on how baby's doing, might try and get in and sneak in a few broadcasts here and there. But obviously, definitely looking forward to adding one to the Logan family, and hopefully we have obviously a young race fan in training. Obviously, she's got gonna have a lot of hobbies to observe between my wife and I. So hopefully we can get her into some racing at some point, and if not, no worries. But she has to be. I told my wife she's gonna be a Bills and a Sabres fan. She can't be a Detroit Red Wings or Lions or anything else. So so that's one thing that I'll try to stick to. But no, definitely excited. I know that means I probably won't get to do as many of these coming up here, but it'll be soon. So I'm definitely happy and appreciate you shouting that out here.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for the two of you, and I say what'll actually potentially happen is she'll be our third broadcaster because you'll have the baby monitor, yes. And so she'll chime in when she needs to tell us stuff that's going on. But yeah, no, super excited for that one. And Boomer, we're getting towards that time of making that decision of the not the if but the when. The question mark, like I said, if we got kind of two outliers here that could make a difference here, that's Josh Purcell, Dean Wilkinson. Again, at this moment, they can't win this race, but they can still play a really big part on who has a chance to maybe try to go ahead and get that win, be it a Dean Wilkinson or Robert Rock on their team. Bob Fitzgerald, obviously, as well. And then the question mark is the Davis cousins. They pitted at 59. 58. Everybody else pitted at 59 and 60. Have they been able to save that extra lap of fuel that nobody else needed to save? And then same thing for Robert Rock, Charles Johnson. Now, they've been leading this field this entire time. Feel like that probably bodes well for them again, but they've been leading, so is that getting at all a concern on the fuel side of things? And then looking at the gaps, I think, yeah, there you go, Eric Laurie and Cole Ken. I think they saw the interval change, and they went ahead and said, yeah, let's get lined up together here, because otherwise we're going to lose 11th and 12th potentially. And those guys are actually not too far away from getting caught by our leaders as well. So, yeah, we're down 6 to go here. And like I said, it's just now it's the strategy side of super speedway racing. It's not the no holds barred 2, 3, 4 wide type stuff we see. It's everybody just biding their time, waiting to make the right move, making sure your temperatures are in a good spot. But here you go, though, Dean and Josh here, they're going to make the first moves, get to the top side. Maybe that pins the boot knockers down to the bottom, where they can't get all 3 and all 4 of them up to the top side. So we'll see what they're and saying maybe Bob Fitzgerald and a little bit of close contact there between the two of them. And you can see immediately responding Boomer are the Davis cousins. Because then if there's an outside line that they have available, they're going to take it. So let's keep an eye out for Justin and Hayden here as well.
Yeah, they'll have an opportunity here moving to the top side, but I think it's going to be hard to get around the TW and Bootnaka drivers up towards the front, but they're there and they have an opportunity. I don't know if they're going to move any further forward, but they're definitely working hard to try and get in this mix here. Lap 71, so 5 laps to go. It'll be 4 at the stripe. Gael, when do you think Bootnaka makes their move? They're kind of, I think, in the catbird seat with having 3 trucks there versus the disconnected TW Motorsports group. You know, I guess when would you make your move, knowing that obviously that would also put the 57 and the 55 up with the 2 teammates in the front there when the 88 goes to make his move?
I almost think that you kind of have to, it's going to be decided by the guys behind you. I think if we see the Davis cousins, if they get enough head of a steam, or if you see Josh Russell, Dean Wilkinson, if we see them jump up top and say, okay, and that's where kind of Mark's got to be that rear gunner where it's like, hey, they're jumping middle, and then he's going to need to be the one to lead. Then here you go, right off the bat there, the 57, he did jump top. Mark immediately followed. And we'll see, yeah, here comes Everett. He's going to peak as well as is Gabe. Now Mark's going to get back down, because that actually brings the Davis cousins back into this, and he had to be quick to get back to the bottom there because he almost got pinned to the outside there. So that's going to be, so now he's got to do that same thing now with Justin and Hayden as that move that he was able to do, though it did push the 57 back now a couple spots. So he kind of right on cue is doing exactly what I think he's going to have to do. But that's, I think as soon as you see momentum for the 10 and the 19, if they got the fuel, they're going to try. And it might be one of those things where the other two, the TW and the Bootnark, stay so focused on each other that maybe it lets Hayden and Justin kind of sneak around them and not while they're not focused on the other guys.
Yeah, curious how much further they're going to be able to make, but it's going to be probably pretty quiet for the next couple laps or so. I don't think anyone's going to be doing too much
Dean
at the front, but yeah, Dean's trying there.
He's trying to get Bob up there.
Yeah.
And I think what they're going to do, if they can clear the 57, they'll have him join that party as well. Because, yeah, and there you go. Yeah, so I think at this point, Dean and Josh have committed, say, hey, all right, we're not going to get back into this thing. Let's get our teammates the best possible positions we can. So he's of the leaders. Obviously, he's not in that. He's still on the lead lap. So let's get him to have a chance with his teammates. And as I say that, we were looking away. Gabe said, okay, I'm going to sneak one on the leaders here. Let's jump top here. And this is going to get spicy. We're 2 to go here, and they are coming up on Brian Bussard, Bud Steele. So they also might start to steal some draft, and that could be also a fight for which lane that draft is in. That's where they want to put those trucks. But here you go, though. 88's got clear of that 171. Now the 24 clear. Can the 39 do so?
And it's going to be tight.
I don't think he's there yet.
Nope, they're going to have to wait and see if they could do it again. Obviously, the 10 and the 19 are going to stay committed down to the bottom, so the 08's not, he's there, but he's not really playing too much of a factor here in this draft at the moment. But the 80 and the 24, they look pretty good. The 24 is going to have to be careful there. Obviously, a little wiggle there. He's going to
stealing some draft.
That truck. Yep. Pushing that to the high side, sneaking out to get a little clean air, but yep, they're going to grab some draft off of these 2 lap cars here, and is it going to be enough to get the 39 clear? I think he's clear. They're going to be down to the bottom, and they're going to take over the race lead.
Oh, man, what a move there by Gabe to say, hey, let's get that draft. You saw the 27, Brian Bussard, Bud Steele. They said, hey, we're going to run up all the way by the wall. We don't want to play an outcome in this race. And Gabe said, you're going to be our helper here. So now where does Mark go here? Where does Robert Rock go? Does he stay high? Does he stay low? Late move to the bottom. The problem is, though, Charles couldn't follow him, so Robert's going to have a little bit by himself. There go the Davis cousins. They're going to take the top side. Mark's going to protect the inside line here. They got to get through 3 and 4 here clean. Watch for the big momentum shifts potentials here out of 4.
Oh, they're going to go sideways, and the 39 is going to get turned into the outside wall. That should be, well, final lap, so it doesn't matter. They're going to come back to the stripe.
Yeah, it's going to be here between Gabe and Everett. Everett got a huge head of steam, not enough to do so. It's going to be Robert Rock bringing it home in 3rd. And we'll go back. We'll take another look at that because I like that move that we just talked about hitting Justin Davis. Unfortunately, just did not pan out there for them. Got caught there in the corner and sent him around. But let's go back here. We'll take one more look at this one. So let's see if I can find the right spot for it here. Now it's already happened. Let's go further back. All right, so we're going to bring it a little closer here. And so I think we focus on the 10 and the 19 here because you can see they lined up together. So Robert's looking to the middle, said, okay, I can squeeze. And then unfortunately, you can see, I think actually maybe a little bit of bump that gets him moved down a little bit to the 39. It's hard to say there. And oh man, look at Hayden just squeezes in between him. You see a little bit of nose damage to that truck though. Unfortunately though, Justin and Mark, not much that they can do there. And you can see Charles Johnson, Dean Wilkinson drop to the apron just to try to make sure that they get cleared. And then at that point with these guys here, they're just going to try to charge to the finish. You can see Everett takes the momentum he has, tries to do something up top here because, like I said, I think at this point they can see, hey, it's just between us. We can race this thing out, and yeah, just not quite enough for those guys to get there. But you can see though it was pretty close between them there, and then you got contact there at the line as well, and that's actually closer than I thought it was. And I was looking, I saw something spinning in the background. It was actually the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald. So it doesn't cost him a ton of spots, but you can see him, he was sitting at about 5th. And trying to see, I think he maybe lost just one spot to Hayden Davis there potentially. But yeah, I mean, they saved it to the end, Boomer, and they went for it all they could.
Yeah, definitely. Don't blame them there for trying to run as hard as they can, and obviously the side-by-side battle to the line that you're seeing now. Gabe comes home victorious, but man, that was a good battle there all the way to the end. Quite a few cars there in the mix. I honestly got so caught up in watching it that I like went to look up and was like, "Oh, it's a caution." No, sorry, that's the last lap. Never mind.
No, I've definitely been there, done that as well. So it is Gabe getting the win here tonight. And so you can pull up quick our podium finishers for this evening there with Gabe Butler over Everett Lane and Robert Rock. And then, of course, we'll jump over to our final results as well. As we said, and we'll see how close it was as well between the two of them. And so you can see that number right here between Gabe and Everett. So, I mean, that's a close result there for those two guys. And then you got Robert Rock, we mentioned there, Hayden Davis and Charles Johnson. And actually, it looks like it put Charles ahead of Bob Fitzgerald in this official running order there, which is interesting because on my side, it actually had it on the opposite. So you never know on these guys where, like, which one's the official, if you will.
Yeah, it's always tough to see exactly the way that it shakes out, but yeah, definitely a pretty close finish there towards the end, and yeah,
and then
exciting finish.
Yeah, and then coming through the remainder, unfortunately, Justin Davis, Mark Cohn still bring home 7th and 8th, and say they were able to grab a gear and get back going again. Eric Lurie, Cole Cannon, able to stay lockstep there for that top 10. And then, yeah, you see Brian Buster, Josh Purcell, Bud Steele, and Dean Wilkinson there did get trapped that lap down. And then it is, unfortunately, an early retirement for Josh Previtt in that 81 truck. All right, Boomer, now we got to find some fellas here to chat with. And we will lead it off with one of our TW drivers, and that is going to be Robert Rock. So let's jump over to check out that lovely piece of machinery for him. All right, I think we're getting everything queued up now. And we're going to pull in that 171 of Robert Rock. And so, Robert, say you started towards the back. I'm pretty sure opted not to qualify. And then, but I think for me, the big part of the story, though, was you and Charles went that one extra lap than everybody else there. And, I mean, then I got a little nervous just because, again, then you two are leading all the way pretty much till the very end there. I mean, was there no concern on fuel with you guys leading all the way to the end, or were you still having to kind of keep an eye on that fuel gauge?
Well, after the first pit stop, I was thinking probably shouldn't be up here. We seen Gabe and all them back there. We knew what they were doing, and I wasn't really concerned with leading a bunch of laps. I just wanted to make it to the end. So Charles and I dropped to the back and just tried saving a little bit. And then when we seen Gabe and them pit, and then a couple of our teammates, they had to pit early. So that's why Charles and I just with that one extra lap. So one, we wouldn't have to worry about any other trucks trying to get on pit road, get it clean in and out.
Yeah, definitely seemed.
Sorry, Boomer. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, definitely seemed like you guys had a pretty good opportunity there towards the end. Obviously, you were sitting there towards the end, you and the 9 kind of leading that pack, knowing that probably the boot knockers were going to make a move at some point. You had some of your teammates further back in the pack, but from there, obviously, what was kind of the strategy? Were you just kind of waiting for them to make the move, or were you going to try and do anything specific to kind of protect that lead and stay up there?
Well, we were discussing it, and I just told them wherever you guys want me to go, I'll go. But yeah, I just let them have the outside, and we figured we might have enough teammates going with us that we can get the push or whatever. But I want to apologize to all those guys in the back there. I mean, I hate it when they end like that. It was definitely not intentional. Just hard racing, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a really good move there that you like said to try to get to the bottom to make it happen, and obviously like you said you had Charles with you, and it's yeah, I mean it's tough to get the timing right and the momentum, and then of course once you're in the turns, it's again we're watching super slow mo, so it's super easy to like, oh yeah, you can do this, but yeah, no, and then you're trying to make the right move at the right time. Everybody's pushing and shoving, and so yeah, I mean you're giving everything you can, and I mean Boomer and I were saying it's like, yeah, it's the end of the race. You're going to go for it all there. And again, I love the strategy. And there was one of those things where you just about had an opening there. And I think it was maybe just a bump that maybe got that truck just a little unsettled. And so, yeah, and again, I mean, this is a game of inches a lot of times. So no, I thought it was a great drive. Again, these incidents happen. And like you said, you kind of chat with the guys post race and like, hey, sorry, that's not at all what I was aiming for. But yes, I mean, definitely don't put yourself too hard on the result there with the contact. I said it was a really good run, and to watch you fight like you did there. And yeah, the last pit stop, I say you and Charles definitely looked like you got everything on that entry. So well done to the two of you guys there as well, man. But yeah, before we let you go though, definitely got to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs for that podium here tonight.
I definitely want to thank you guys for the host or in the broadcast. Appreciate everything you guys do, all the admins. All my teammates, Charles pushing. Congratulations, Gabe, there on another win there. He's got them racking them up. So yeah, appreciate all the drivers. Definitely fun.
Great job tonight, Robert. Look forward to seeing you back on track soon, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
All right, that is our third place finisher in that 171. I apologize, of Robert Rock. And then we are going to jump one spot further forward, and that is going to be this guy right here in that number 24. And that is going to be Everett Lane. Everett started in the 7th position, bring it home in 2nd. I mean, it's one of those one of those ones where the caution falls at a time where it's right on that potential edge. And so you guys kind of have that race within a race where it's like, no, everybody's super polite, not wanting to lead, let everybody else lead some laps. But then Boomer and I were talking, it's like, okay, when do they make the move? And I'm peeking over here talking about the Davis cousins. Then there you guys go, you make the move, trying to make us not even see when you guys are pulling the move there at the end, and then able to obviously keep the two of you lockstep there till out of 4, and almost got a good head of steam there to try to sneak around Gabe. But I mean, look like, was that kind of strategy work just about perfectly, of course minus Mark's incident, or I mean, take us through those last laps and kind of how you guys are making the decision when to jump top.
Yeah, unfortunately we did come into a little bit of a fuel saving race there for a little bit, but all in all it was a good race for us. Let Gabe get out front there for a little bit to get a reading on our fuel there. And he was giving us the numbers on what we had to do. So we had to back it up a little bit and get in line and do some more saving. Mark was a good part of that tonight, being right there with us the whole race. Eric had a little bit of issue getting off the pit road there that one time there at the end. But yeah, we stayed in line. We didn't think Hayden had enough and Justin had enough, but they did well when fuel saving there to finish at the end. Finished on the lead lap. They didn't go a lap down. I didn't know if they were going to have enough, but yeah, we stayed in line, and ran our race that we wanted to run. And when it was time to make the move, we all three made a move. Unfortunately, I think Mark caught the apron there and slid up a little bit, but and we pulled away. And I tried to get by Gabe there. He's got 2 in a row. I'll take 2 in a row second places, but a win's always good once in a while too.
Yeah, wins are good, but you guys are looking pretty good up there and had some pretty solid execution. Take us back to making that move to get to the front. Were you guys waiting, or I mean, it seemed like there were some other circumstances. I know obviously you caught some draft off of some lap cars, and obviously were able to take that to your advantage. But were you kind of, was there a plan, or was it just play it by ear, or were you just taking advantage of some of the stuff you saw going on around you guys?
Yeah, we had the plan of what we wanted to do there at the end. You're right about the cars we picked up on the high end there, on the top line there. We got their draft. It really pulled us ahead a lot. We were keeping an eye on the outside line. We didn't want to get blocked down in there and get locked into where we couldn't make a move. So Mark was keeping an eye on that for us, and we were going to make the move if anybody tried to clog that lane up. But no one got up there close enough to clog it up. So with I think it was 2 to go, we decided to go ahead and make our move, and we moved up there and pulled off a 1-2 finish there tonight for Bootknockers.
Yeah, that top lane move, like I said, stealing the draft, that was we were commenting like, oh man, that is a really good idea there to get the extra draft, like you mentioned there, pull all three of you clear there at the end. So yeah, like I said, I mean you gave him a really good run for your effort. At the end, it was only what 200 go figure, some racer. I just went to check and you were 0.024 off of the win there, so say car number and all, unfortunately, on that one. So next week you're gonna go for 88 thousandths of a second of a win, I think.
There we go. Yeah, that'd be nice. We were just talking about it, me and Gabe. We're gonna have to try to work on switching around a little bit, and him be the pusher and me get a win, or Eric or Mark. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, he's been pretty selfish. We'll tell him that when we pull him up here next. But before we go and let him talk about another win there, we got to give you the floor, though, because, again, like I said, another great result for you as well. For any thanks and shouts for that runner-up this evening.
Well, I want to thank you, Gael, and Boomer up there for doing the broadcast. Everybody over here at Area 51, Charles and Bud, all the hard work they put into getting this league going. Definitely want to thank my teammates, Mark, Eric, and Gabe there for Bootknockers. And my wife to let me have fun on these things on Saturdays and Thursday nights.
Well, great job again, sir. Look forward to seeing you on track soon. But yeah, go enjoy this one, and then work on the strategy with Eric to keep Gabe behind the two of you.
Will do, Gael. Have a good night, guys.
You too, sir.
Good night.
All right, that leaves us one fellow left to chat with, and as Everett's saying, he's getting pretty greedy. Is pretty much what Everett was saying there. Definitely not putting any exaggeration on that one there. But Gabe, I mean, Boomer kind of mentioned it too when we were talking to Everett there. To me, the move there at the end is you jump up top, you grab the draft there of, I believe it was Bud Steele and Brian Bussard, if I'm not mistaken. And that gets the three of you pretty safely clear of that inside lane. And then from there, obviously, just trying to manage the draft and work the right lane at the right time. But was those two running the top side and you see that draft opportunity? Is that one of those things where it's like, oh, this is too perfect? Or, I mean, how does that go, obviously, with your experience with these trucks at this track?
In this case, it was just almost too perfect. We came out of turn, it was either 3 or 4, I can't remember, but I seen the two lap cars moved up to the high side, and I was calling that. I said, going high, catching draft, and it was just ideal. It pulled all three of us clear, and Mark was doing a fantastic job behind Everett there. He was calling what was happening, if there was a highline foreman or not, and luckily he was clear at the time when we called it to go up to the high side to catch the draft off of Bud, and I think it was Dean, and it just happened to work out really perfect. Unfortunately, Mark just kind of got in an accident there coming to the end, which is unfortunate because he was going to have probably another podium finish there.
Uh-oh, we have lost Boomer. But no, and so the other part of that strategy, like you were saying, is getting that draft there. And then on the timing side of things, did you base the move up top based on seeing where those guys were, or is it just kind of like, hey, 2 to go, it's time to go?
I did a fuel test. I got out front of the fellas just to see where we're going to be at in fuel, because it's kind of hard if you're in the draft, if you're going to have enough fuel if you happen to get out front. It was that close. So I said to the fellas, I said, look, let me just get out front here for a few laps and let me really nail down what the fuel needs to be. And we did figure that out. So I was trying to get the fellas just to stay in line as long as we possibly could before we made that move. But then Mark said that Highline was forming and coming pretty quick. And it just happened to be at 2 to go, I think, which we were going to go anyway. And just happened to work out really perfect.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys kind of timed it pretty well. And obviously we talked to Everett a little bit about some, the external factors with the lap cars up high too. But obviously after everything kind of went to, chaos behind you guys, obviously, unfortunately, Mark getting turned, was it just you and Everett just trying to do everything you could to get back to the line, or were you guys, I guess if in that situation again, is there going to be maybe an opportunity to get Everett a win coming here soon, or is it always going to be pedal to the metal no matter what on the last lap there?
Well, I told him at the end, I said, I was kind of hoping you'd win that one. I think he made the right move just pulling out, and he almost got me at the line, which I told him, I said, I should have tapped the brakes to let you get across first. But the goal now is to get either him, Mark, or Everett a win, if at all possible. So that'll be my goal. I'll be the pusher next time round, and hopefully we can get it organized for those guys.
Well, I think we figured out the strat there, Boomer, is like, hey, let me check the field numbers, guys, make sure we're good, and then they're obligated to push you there. So same thing, definitely not putting words in Gabe's mouth or anything at all there. But no, and I mean, that's the thing, is you talk about the team sport of it. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely those times where we've seen where guys like, hey, if I can find a way to pay you back for helping me, you always try to do that. So it's again, that's one of those things that's really cool to see in plate racing, is the strategy, is the teamwork side of it. And yeah, that's one of those things that's always ever evolving. And so, yeah, say if you kind of make your teammates mad, it's like, hey, what about us? I say then maybe makes them more reluctant to push you. But I feel like we've been around you enough. That's usually never really the case. And I'll say we'll lead into that modesty with our thanks and shout outs, because I have a feeling I know part of what you're going to say on this one, because you're kind of good at these races and getting these wins, Gabe. So definitely, as always, though, got to give you that floor for any thanks and shout outs for that win tonight, sir.
Well, I'm no good without my teammates, I'll put it that way. And that old dog trick about, yeah, let me check the fuel, let me get out front and test it for you guys, that works really good. And but yeah, big shout out to the teammates, Everett, Eric, Mark, Area 51, the admins, and of course you guys up in the booth at Green White Checker TV for putting on a fantastic broadcast. And like I've said before, and I'll say it again, you guys do a fantastic job of analyzing the race, covering everybody, giving everybody fair coverage. So all the drivers really appreciate that, and big shout out to you guys tonight.
I appreciate it, sir. Yeah, again, great job tonight. They said you guys worked extremely well tonight. Obviously, unfortunately, Eric there in the last pit stop got cycled out, but like I said, I mean, you had the three of you at the end. They're all working extremely well together, and like I said, had a chance of sweeping that podium. So I know that's always the goal, is to try to get as many spots as you can for the team. So I'll say we'll let you kind of plan ahead for that one in the future races. But for now, go enjoy this one. See if I don't know if it's past Guinness time or not, but if not, go enjoy one, and we'll look forward to seeing you on track again soon, sir.
All right, gentlemen, have a good evening. Thank you.
All right, that is our race winner, and for whatever reason, it's still saying it was Everett Lane. Didn't update to Gabe yet. My overlays really like Everett today, so Unfortunately, we don't get that part working correctly, but we know this fella. He's done a pretty good job of keeping this thing up front. I wonder if I can cheat and go this route. There we go. That's more official. Gabe getting the win here tonight again over Everett Lane and Robert Rock, our top 3 finishers. And yeah, I mean, again, you never know in these races, Boomer, when those cautions are going to fall. And saying just in this one, it came in just a time where it was close, where you kind of had to work the numbers a little bit. I'm really impressed with what Charles and Robert were able to do, get that extra lap, and that really let them not have to worry about any saving at the end. So yeah, well done to those two as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a solid battle all the way to the end there for all those guys. And I mean, obviously, a couple cautions early, one really quick, and then a couple restarts back to back pretty much, and went green the rest of the way. So to be up there and have that chance at the end is honestly pretty solid. So it's definitely quite a bit of a challenge, to keep with some of these guys and stay in that lead pack. So it's definitely very solid effort there to be, have that many in contention at the end.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly right. Great job by all those guys. And yeah, I mean, so at the end, I mean, we had 8 drivers able to have a chance to win that race. So I mean, still half the field over everything. And yeah, like I said, it's just you got to execute all the pit stops, and just unfortunately, kind of a few of them caught off guard or just miscues at the end. But yeah, great job by everybody. And again, any little difference, I mean, it could have been again the Davis cousins, TW as well. Like I said, all of those guys in the mix. So yeah, just well done to all of them for kind of having the opportunity to get there. And that's what we talked about, is just you got to just keep putting yourself in positions, and then you'll have a chance to get those wins from time to time. But guys like Gabe and Everett and company, they make it tough to get them though. So you're not going to just walk into them. So yeah, big congrats to all the podium finishers, and appreciate everybody coming out and watching the race here as well, being a part of it also. Matt, always a pleasure seeing you in here. It was fun having Quabi pop in as well. But yeah, Boomer, that is it for us this evening. Appreciate you being in the booth as always. I know you got a potential busy week coming up, so really excited for you. Like I said, we're here for you, whatever you need. I'm super excited for you, so definitely, yeah, we'll give updates once we're ready.
Yeah, I appreciate
it.
I
forgot how to drink water.
You're good.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, so no, thank you all so much for watching, supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. Yeah, I'll say Tuesday night back with the IndyCars on P1 broadcasting. Definitely check those guys out. Just top notch guys. Definitely a little bit. It's a tough one because one of the broadcasters that's been a big part of P1, Joshua Petschauer, Justin Petschauer, I apologize, passed away recently. So definitely giving everybody at P1 our love. That's been a tough one. And so yeah, so definitely sharing our thoughts and everything with the family there, and definitely keep an eye out for, I'm sure they'll be doing some sort of special events for him to kind of help the family out and everything. So we'll definitely relay that over once we get some more info there as well. So again, definitely a lot of stuff going on in the world. So yeah, just everybody try to take care, and as always, until next time, take care, stay safe, have a good night.